Hey, everybody, we're here for a new episode of Five for Talking. Today we have questions from Caps. It's a new segment of the show where it's not even a segment, it's a whole episode. It will be mostly about Leafs. I don't know if you can see my hat, it's kind of dark in here. And I'm here, obviously, with Caps, captain of the show, and say hi to the people.
Hi, people.
He said hi, people. So we're just going to jump right into this, and apparently he has questions.
Well, I've put together about 10 questions here about some of the things that might not happen this year. This is strictly Leafs related. Eventually we'll probably do an NHL one for the rest of the league, but for now, just to coming off of game one of the preseason tonight, I figure we have a little fun here. So you can give me a yay or a nay. And if you
Ooh,
want to elaborate, by all means, go for it. Question one: Matt Murray starts 10 games for the Leafs this season.
nay. Wait, look, hold on. Can I ask a question on that question?
Of course you can.
Um, in what sense do you mean? Is somebody injured and he's replacing them, or are you asking me if they're going to legitimately start him for 10 games?
Well, I mean, Solars and Wool are known to be pretty injury prone.
Okay, but is your question, is he starting because they're injured, or is he starting because they've chosen to start Matt Murray?
However way you want to.
If it's injuries, plausible. There's a 50-50 chance that he starts 10 games.
Okay.
If
So
it's
your prediction.
if it's by choice, 0% chance
Okay.
he has more than 10 games.
So your prediction. Uh, with the history of Solars and Wool, you think Wool will start 10 games a season for the Leafs?
Wall?
Sorry, Murray. Excuse me, Murray.
No, I still say no.
Okay. All
I
right.
think there's a better chance that they get offsetedly injured or they use start one of those other young guys that they have.
All right. Nylander plays more than 20 games at center.
No.
Marner gets 100 points this season.
Yes. I think I'm gonna elaborate on that. Okay, I'm gonna elaborate on both of those. Nylander's gonna start in like 19 games as a center or 18. It's not gonna pass 20. It might be the end of the season going into the playoffs, but knowing the Leafs, they're just not gonna be smart enough to figure it out that they should be starting him or like whatever. It's gonna be one of those scenarios, right? Because we know they love to do that. Um, Marner is going to get 100 points. No questions asked. Nylander is going to get 100 points, and Matthews is going to get 100 points. Marner is going to do it on a contract season, and he's not going to resign to the Leafs. I have a new stance on this whole thing, and he's going to walk. He's going to walk for money.
Okay. Wool starts 50 games.
No,
Okay.
I would say 45 because of injury. He'll get close, but I don't think he passes it. And Stolarz is a good goalie. He's good enough to start in the NHL.
Okay. Well, that brings up my next point. Eventually, Stellaris becomes a starter.
No. I think they're gonna stay with Wall. I don't like we've talked about this before. I'm not a big Wall guy, period. I think he lives in that Stuart, I think this is his name, Stuart Skinner world of overhyped young goalies that don't really have the potential that we think that they do. They've had good, really good high peak moments where we're like, wow, look at what they've done. But like Skinner is just okay. And I think Wall is just okay. Is Wall potentially an NHL starter? Like, well, he's might be this year. I don't know how tandem they're gonna go. Is he potentially like a legit starter for one of the 32 teams in the NHL? Sure, but not a top 10 guy or a top 15 guy, in my opinion. He could be. Who knows? Maybe he'll impress me this year. But Stellars is also not that guy. Stellaris is a bottom 10 starter or a bottom 12 starter. Is he good? He's a great backup goalie. He's maybe top 10 backup goalies in the NHL. But for a 50 game season, I don't know if he's that guy. You know what I mean? I'm really iffy on the Leafs goaltending. And that's why I think they should keep Matt Murray around.
All right. Steve Lorenz and Max Pacioretty signed with the Leafs.
Well, I don't even know who the other guy is. I've never even heard of him, so I
He
can't.
was a fourth liner for the Florida Panthers last season. So
No comment. Pacioretty, that was going to be my question for you, so I guess I don't have a question anymore. I want to say yes because they played tonight and he's like the best player who ever played hockey, apparently.
Slow down.
But I don't understand where the Leafs think that they have salary cap. They don't even have enough salary cap to sign him to a minimum contract. If you want to look that up, you can feel free.
I believe they figured that out at some point. You know, I believe that they get into a situation where they pull a Sam Lafferty and they trade someone for a pick just to make room. I believe that they've worked it out and they figure it out. Connor Timmins goes gets waived. Something.
Okay, I'll then yes, Pacioretty, yes.
Yeah.
Pacioretty, I think yes, and I'll tell you why.
Yep.
Because he is experienced. He's been there before. He's made the playoffs a number of times. He's been a team captain. He has a goal scoring touch. As you get older in hockey, you don't lose your goal scoring ability. You just kind of lose your speed and your overall quickness, right? But you don't lose your ability to shoot the puck or to score goals and be in the right place. And I think if you put him on a line with like a Marner or a Tavares or even a Matthews, he's going to find ways to get goals. Can he stay healthy? I don't know. But I don't think he hurts. The other guy I've never heard of, so I'm going to be honest, I can't comment on that.
I believe Max Pacioretty he's probably going to be on the third line with Tavares. That's what I'm thinking.
And I think Tavares is a good playmaker, so I think he can score goals playing like that.
Yeah. Robertson gets traded.
Well, how long is his contract, the new one? 1 year?
1 year.
Yeah. At the deadline, though.
I mean, you touched on Marner, but I was gonna ask you, Marner gets traded or signs an extension with the Leafs. But I guess in your eyes, he walks.
I think the Leafs are silly gooses.
Silly gooses.
They're a bunch of silly gooses, and they're gonna hold on to Marner because he's gonna have a good year. Because it's a contract year, so he's obviously gonna have a good year, and the Leafs are gonna be like, "Well, we might as well hold on to this guy. We're gonna get to the playoffs. We'll see how that goes." No comment. And I think he'll end up walking because I don't see them coming up with a trade where they can. The teams that really need Marner or that he's going to accept the trade to are either not going to be able to give us back what we need in return or are going to be able to fit that salary cap. And I'm not taking back a bunch of cap filler to get rid of Marner. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. If you were willing to make a trade to a team, let's say, I don't know, I'm gonna make up a team, Colorado Avalanche, and they're like, well, we'll give you 5 first-round picks and like 3 guys that are absolutely poo on our AHL team, but they equal out his salary that we've just been stashing this whole time. I would say, okay, fine, I'll take that. And just use those picks in the future to try and leverage myself. But if you're just going to trade him to get a prospect or a decent young guy back, like if you're going to get back another Max Domi or a Bertuzzi or even both, and then a bunch of filler, I don't want that trade.
Yeah, it has to make sense.
And I think it's going to be hard to make sense. I know I over-exaggerated a lot there, but it's going to be hard to get a trade that makes sense for him, especially mid-season.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to Tavares. Tavares gets traded or signs an extension with the Leafs.
I see 2 options. Well, 3, okay? And the third one is a cop-out answer, so I'll wait to say that. Either we get to free agency and he re-signs for the Leafs on an actually ridiculously like reasonable contract, like we've talked about, like 4 years, 4.5 million, or 4 years, 5 million, or not even that, 3 years, $5 million, right? I'll take that. But I also could see an option where another team like that has money to throw around, Chicago Blackhawks or something, that's like, oh, we'll give you $8 million for 3 seasons, and he walks. I could see that being a possibility. The third option is you trade him at the deadline to get stuff, and then you re-sign him in the offseason when he's a free agent. And I think he's the kind of guy that might agree to do that.
It's a hell of a risk. Yeah. All right. Last one. Matthew scores 70 goals this season.
No.
Yeah.
Matthews is going to score 61 goals again.
Yeah, I think he takes a bit of a tip.
He's gonna. I think he's gonna take the Rocket Richard again, but it's gonna be in the low 60s. I don't think 70s 70. It's unnecessary to even attempt to score 70 goals. Like to put yourself at risk at the end of the year when the Leafs are probably going to be a playoff team to just get 70 goals.
Yeah, I want it to come naturally to him. I don't want these guys to like feed him the puck like they did close to the end of last season, which inevitably made him a bad team. They were not looking that great going into the postseason. So you know, if he can get more assists and have the same amount of goals last season, hey, even better. But I don't really see him getting 70 goals. I see him getting actually. I do see him setting guys up more than he did in previous years. So that's my take. But that's all the
Do
questions I have.
Okay, are you ready?
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah. Does Wall play 50 games? Does Wall start 50 games?
Are you throwing it back on me?
I'm throwing a couple of them with extra.
I believe he starts 40 games.
Okay, he starts 40. So then I don't even need to ask you my other question. Does Matt Murray start 10 games?
I believe he gets in for a few games. I see him in about 5 games this season.
Does Morgan Riley finally have that season?
Not based on what I saw tonight. He was probably the worst player on the team.
Do
So
the
it
Leafs Oh, sorry.
was horrible. Up until the third period, he was probably the worst player on that team. But then he woke up a little bit. But you know, it's just whatever.
Do the Leafs sign Pacioretty, and should they sign Pacioretty?
Yeah, on a cheap deal, yes. I believe he has. He says he's healed up and he says he's focused on playing hockey rather than um, staying healthy. And I believe the Leafs need it, man. You know, when it comes to championship teams, depth is very, very important, and they're going to need him if he's willing to stay healthy, if he can stay healthy. I don't see why not.
I mean, that's pretty fair. Do you think Matthews gets 70 goals?
No, no.
Do you think that this is an open question based around what you asked me? General idea of what they do with or what happens to Mitch Marner.
I think I think Marner would have to agree, but it's really out of the Leafs' hands. It's all the cards are
Let's
in
just assume he agrees. Do they
trade.
still trade him or do they hold him?
The trade would have to make sense. The trade would have to make sense. You know, um, if I think what you said before is, you know, if if the Leafs are not getting enough back for Marner, why bother even making the deal? Like, what's the point? A lot of people think that they're getting ripped off if they're not getting anything back. They're getting $11 million of cap space. I don't know.
Yeah, like you're better off looking at a team like Anaheim and saying, give me 4 first-round picks and then whatever dump filler you want to give me, and then I'll use those picks as my own leverage later, right? And they can afford it. It's California. Maybe he'll want to play there, or San Jose. Do you know what I mean? A young team where he's going to be the star player type of situation.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about Tavares as well if they end up doing that.
Tavares, I think, re-signs on a cheaper deal.
Yes, but do you think the Leafs are going to do the goofy Leaf thing where they do silly goose stuff and give him like $8 million a season?
I think they'll play hardball with him a little bit. I think he might ask for that much, but I think eventually he'll probably re-sign for like 6, and that's still kind of expensive. But I think they're more desperate about the cap space. um, I think he resigns. I think he resigns for 6. I would like him to sign for 5, but whatever. It is what it is. But if you're asking me about Marner, I think he resigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he resigns.
How much more money does he get?
That's a tricky question. I was thinking about it. I don't think it's going to happen. I
Like
like
if the baseline is if the baseline is Leon Draisaitl, he's not remotely as good as Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, how much is Draisaitl
I
resign
think
again?
it was 13 million.
In all likelihood, I would like him to sign for the same amount of money as Nylander. He still gets a bit of a raise, but you know.
Oh, it's 14 million him.
But I don't see it happening for the same amount of money. I think he gets like around
11.5.
Just north of 12.
Nylander's 11.5.
11.5.
So
But
you
I
think he
think
gets like 12?
I would like to see Marner re-sign for the same amount of money as Nylander.
Okay, let's say he gets 12.
North of 12.
Let's say he gets 12. Let's just say 12.
Yeah.
Right now I believe he makes what, 10.5?
10.9.
10.9. So that's a raise. That's a good contract in the NHL. You're not better than Matthews. You're not better than Draisaitl. So you're not getting that money out of my pocket.
Yeah.
But so you get a raise. Let's just even say 2 million. That's not the number it is, right? But we'll just say 2 million. If John Tavares makes what, 11 million, correct? Takes a contract at 5 million. That's $6 million you freed up. You take 2 million of that to him, then you still have $4 million to play with. But you have people to sign. And Matthew Knies is definitely going to get a bridge.
Yeah, Knies is going to get a raise. I think Knies gets a raise.
It's going to be a bridge, though. It's going to be 2 years.
But Woe gets a raise, too. I think he gets like a $3 million raise, if I remember correctly. So cap goes up about 4 million, but,
Well, that gives you 4 plus 4. That's 8 million to play with. Knies is going to cost you, I would assume, about 3 million for over 2 years. So 6 million contract.
Yeah.
The Wall's going to go up 3. That only leaves you $2 million now.
There you go.
We're already screwed. Well, welcome to the next year. Last question. Do the Leafs make the playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Does Italy win the World Cup?
No.
I like your style. Yeah, anyways, that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
That was it, man.
All right. Thank you for watching. Let us know your questions in the comment section below, and have a good night.